Okay guys, welcome back. So in this episode, we will carry on from the previous episode where we talked about the planetary motion and some of the basics in terms of like the degrees, the minutes into astrology, because some of us might not have any astrology background, and this is the need to know basics before we can go on to reading the Vedic chart. And it's good to know all this because it will actually help us in identify a lot of things. The amount, the degree can tell us about how strong the planets are in certain houses, and then how much it will impact on us depends on this aspecting, and in terms of this degree, how close it is to each other and things like that. So in this episode, we will talk about the houses of a horoscope, and then we will talk about how this whole all these planets are actually mapped into a horoscope. Okay, so if you still recall, in this in the previous video, we actually talked about each houses here is actually taken up by a constellation. So this one is a constellation 4 it belongs to Cancer, and the ruler is actually the moon. So moon is the lordship of Cancer. So we can actually say that this ascendant is rising in Cancer. So this is what actually, if you look around and you hear people say about rising, so this degree is actually fixed in your time of birth and at the place of your time and birth. And this happens when the eastern horizon actually rises in Cancer at 16 degrees. Okay, so this is what it means. These 12 constellations is all 30 degrees each, and is measured from this ascendant. So this ascendant start of the second house, this is like the Leo ascendant. The Leo ascendant is also actually 16 degrees. That's why everything is determined from this degree down here of your ascendant. Everything in this chart starts from here. Okay, so that's why I am going to go through with you all these very important things, so that our basics are actually built on properly. This is we are actually this is a permanent division of space of the sky, a snapshot of the sky when you are born, and this is intersected by this eastern horizon. So just to know this when we are talking about the rising and the setting. So the ascendant is also called Lagna. This is how it is spelled. Okay, Lagna. So Lagna is used quite interchangeably with ascendant, and this is used mostly in Jyotish. And the word Lagna actually conveys a sense of being tied down. So this ascendant actually ties this position down to all these planets down here. You see all these planets in the sky at the point of your place and the time of birth. Okay, and so actually the concept of actually Lagna, right, in Lagna in Jyotish actually encompass all these varied methods. There's a variety of methods which actually make the heavens specific to one's astrological purpose, and then we map all these planets to this chart down here. And the Lagna is fixed by the ascendant, and this Lagna actually in Jyotish, most common we use this is we know this ascendant as Udaya Lagna. So this is the Udaya Lagna. So one most common alternative to this is actually our Chandra Lagna, which actually follows the moon, is created by taking whatever constellation the moon is sitting in as the first house. So you see this moon here is sitting here in the 10th house. This is the 10th house. Notice that the houses don't change, only the constellation changed. This is still the first house, this is still the second house, third house, etc. Okay, so this moon is sitting on the 10th house, and then this there's this Chandra Lagna. This one will be taking this moon as the first house, this one as the first house. So that's what it means. For Surya Lagna, Surya is actually another word for the sun. It actually takes the sun as the first house. So the sun is over here. So actually it takes this one as the first house. So if that's the case, we need to shift we need to shift this over to here as the first house. We can rotate this whole chart and then read this as the first house. So this is the Surya Lagna. So most of us, most of the time we look at this Udaya Lagna, which is taking the ascendant as your first house. Okay, this is the start of the Lagna is fixed by the ascendant. This is the start of how this whole chart we actually interpret how this Rashi is actually displayed to us, all these planets down here. And Jyotishis, we actually emphasize the Udaya Lagna, right? The reason is because it is one factor in astrology that differentiates births that take place on the same day. For example, let's say this ascendant is actually Mars planet is here in a Cancer ascendant. So Mars is in Cancer. It will be the same degree position in Cancer for anyone born anywhere on Earth at that point of time. So if we are taking Moon Chandra Lagna as first house, we will be actually looking at Mars in Cancer is the same for everyone on Earth. That means it becomes meaningless because we are all at different part of Earth, and we have to keep that in mind, because that will actually affect where the position of the planets actually sit. So let's say, for example, if the Mars is actually is in the rising, this is the rising, this is the ascendant, rising in someone born in US, and it's actually the same chart for someone with Mars in ascension in, let's say, born in India. So you cannot be saying that both charts are actually the same, because actually the timing, the time zone and everything is different, and the planets where it actually takes that degree, because Moon actually moves in the previous video we actually talked about how fast it actually moves. It moves one constellation in about 2.5 days. So if we are taking this Moon as the ascendant, we'll be seeing both charts, whether it's in US or India, it's as the same chart. So these two people that's born miles apart are actually having the same kind of life and destiny. So it's actually very questionable in terms of accuracy why we don't take the Moon or the Surya Lagna as our Lagna, but we look at the ascendant as our Lagna. So this is the reason why we look at Udaya Lagna. I think this is vital to know why we don't look at other Lagnas, or we don't follow the Moon or the Sun for this for Jyotish. So most Jyotish actually use the method of equal house division. That means 30 degrees for each house of one house is 30 degrees, but there is other methods that allocate this time space differently. So if you notice, this is our North Indian chart, this is our North Indian Rashi chart, and if you look at the South Indian one, it actually looks a bit different. So while the horoscopes in the West are usually represented in actually a circular form, if you actually seen it before, the basic representation of a natal chart in this North Indian Rashi chart that we're looking at is like this, in this like a diamond form where there's 12 houses, and this is a rectangle into 12 segments. And this part here, this is the house of the ascendant, this one. So usually when you open up a chart or you key into a calculator that you get online, you will see this one. You will see an ascendant, or there's an A beside this one to signify this is the first house. This is your ascendant house. So, and then we will go clockwise into this one that we look at. This is the second house. They say this is B, and then we have C, we have the third house, and then we have the fourth. So it's actually depicted counterclockwise, and there is no need to identify the houses individually, unlike the constellation, because the houses are fixed, like I mentioned a lot of times before. And this number down here is our constellations, which is our zodiac signs, and this actually depicts to us the lordship of this house. So this actually show a Cancer Cancer ascendant, because number 4 is actually Cancer, and then the Lordship is actually the Moon. Okay, because the Moon owns Cancer. Okay, so this is a Moon ascendant. Okay, a Cancer ascendant, the Lordship is the Moon. And then with this knowledge that is Cancer, we can proceed to get an inclination what this is. This is our Leo. And then after our Leo, we have our Virgo. Then we have number 7, our Libra. And then we have our Scorpio. After Scorpio is Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we have Capricorn. Then we go to Aquarius. And then the last one is always Pisces. The sign of 2 fishes, so this is the Pisces, and then there's 12 of them. This is Pisces, the last one, and then we go back to our Aries in the first one, Aries, and then we have Taurus, then we have Gemini, then we have Cancer. So this process of identifying is always in this order. So if you are not sure, you can always refer to a list. Then after a few readings, you're getting more comfortable. You are able to identify straight away. 10th and the 11th house belongs to Saturn. This is the Capricorn and Aquarius. So that is something that we still need to commit to our memory so that we can do this reading even faster. So we have Cancer in the ascendant. So what this actually means is that there is Moon is a lordship of this, so there is this part where this person actually uses a lot of the emotions, because the Moon actually rules our senses, our emotional well-being. So this is someone that is very full of empathy for people. This is what it actually tells us about this person, because remember the first chart, the first house is actually about the self. Okay. So let me just erase this one, because some of the charts actually look quite messy. The best thing that we can use to tell people, or we base our intuition on, is actually has to do with our memory work down here, and also we couple it with our experience, so that we can then proceed to use our intuition to decipher what kind of messages the universe have for us at this point in time when this person comes to look for you. Okay, so that's what I'm going to cover in this episode. So in the next episode, I'll probably talk about the planets, in other words, is the grahas, in more detail, so that we can slowly move on to the real things after we have covered it sufficiently for this foundation episodes. Okay, so I'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye bye.